Alright, alright, non-sensitive materials, Department of Energy, Handbook 1001, March 1996, Department of Handbook, Energy Handbook, Guide to Good Practice, Training and Qualification Instructor, Department of Energy, United States of America, U.S. Department of Energy, Washington, D.C. 20585, FSC 6910, distribution approved for all, public release, distribution unlimited. I paid for this. I was a customer, so I bought this. So the foreword: the purpose is to guide to good practice of the training and qualification of the instructors to provide contractual training organization with information that can be used to verify adequacy and/or modify existing instructor training programs or develop new training programs. The Department of Energy and contractors should know. I don't feel obligated to adopt all parts of this document and refer that they can use the information contained with the good practice to develop the programs that are applicable to their facility. The guidelines primarily to those who conduct support technical instructions in the area of the facility operation, maintenance, and technical support. However, the human affairs or its development instructors may also find it useful when the document training and the instruction technical instruction competency separate the combination of these factors interpersonal skill with the producing highly effective instructors. Beneficial comments, recommendations, additions, deletions, any pertinent data that may be improved with the document should be used by John A. Yoder, U.S. Department of Energy, EH31 GTN CXXI 3 R Room 221 2010 19901 Germantown Road, Germantown, Maryland 20874. Phone number 301 903 5650 or fast mile 301 903 6121 72. The letter is using a self-addressed documentation and approval proposal with the DOE F 13003 appearing with the letter at the end of this document. Initially left blank. Your paragraph forward, the scope, the purpose, and the background, application, definition, instruction, qualification, requirements, instructional competency, technical competency, interpersonal skills, initial structure, training, structural and all basic instructor qualification levels, technical skills, training, instructor qualification, continuing instructional training, instructional skills, containing training, technical skills, containing training, professional development, evaluation, instructors, training programs, program records. Appendix A, example of the training qualification manual. Appendix B, example of the job analysis survey manual form. Appendix C, instructional basics. Appendix D, on-the-job training, instruction training. Appendix E, classroom instructor training the trainer or training. Appendix F, the instructional technologist training. Alright, the scope. 1.1. The guide contains the good practice of the training, qualification, technical instruction, and instructional technologies of the Department of Energy, reactor, and non-reactor nuclear facilities and address with the content initial containing continuing instructor training programs, evaluating instructor training programs, and maintenance of instruction training records. Background: the guide practice training qualification instructors was developed in three principal sources: commercial non-nuclear industrial guidelines for the instructional training qualification, Mid-Atlantic Nuclear Training Group, the generic instructional task list, a top analysis conducted in identifying instructional competency representative of those required for the Department of Energy training accreditation program, objectives and criteria. The training accreditation program objectives and criteria that has been revised since the guide was originally developed. They are non-consistent with the objectives and criteria contained in the Department of Energy Standard 107094 guidelines for evaluation of nuclear training facility training programs, which establishes standards whether the training program should be evaluated against. The competency of the guide representative of those required for the raised objectives and criteria accreditation program, the Department of Energy Standard 107094. 1.3. Application of the training organization should be guided with the means of the cross-section to assist the ensuring of these necessary elements contained within the instructor training program. The guide should also be used to facilitate the developing instruction or training of the program to comply with the requirements of the Department of Energy, orders, and proposed rulemaking initiatives of the Department of Energy. 1.3.1. Discussion. The recommended instructional training programs are based on qualification levels. The following levels are addressed: on-the-job training instructor, classroom instructor, trainer, instructional technologist. Depending on the size and complexity of the facility training organization, additional instructor qualifications levels such as simulator laboratory instructors may be necessary. Appendix A is an example of the trainer classification mode, which lists 6 qualification levels. 2. Definition exemption is the release of the individual from the portion of the training program through the prior educational experience, training, or testing experience of the reassignment and the training instructional position responsible for the design, developing, presentation, evaluating training activities. Instructor individual who presents classroom, laboratory, on-job simulator instruction on one of those developed training programs, materials, and evaluates trainees. Instructor qualification process determining vary the individual meet the instructional technical competency qualification criteria for the specific instructor qualification level, job analysis, systematic scientific method used to obtain the detailed listing of the task of specific job. Learning objectives statement specifying measurable behavioral learning training, which should exhibit the after instruction, including conditions, standards of performance, lesson plan, and structure document for the outline, instruct with the training activity, learning objective, lesson content, resource necessary for the consistent conduct of the training. On-the-job training is a formal training with the conducted with the evaluated work environment, operational evaluation, documented evaluation, individual's knowledge and skill. The operational evaluation facility walkthrough through the may include the system components of the operation, system operations during the candidate observed with the question and regarding the procedure, sampling, implementation, technically safety requirements, operational safety requirements as applicable. Qualified as a satisfactory completion of the training program based on the knowledge and skills abilities necessary to perform the assigned responsibilities to self-placed instruction, or SPI, includes the number of forms instructions in which the piece of the training is controlled by training guided by the program materials. The self-placed instruction does not require a full-time presence of an instruction. Students study on their own and learn at their own pace. Subject matter expertise. An individual previously qualified experience performing a particular task. The subject matter expertise may also be an individual who may be education training experience recognized by the expert of the particular subject topic or system. Systematic approach of the training. The approach of the training which based on the task of the related knowledge skills required for the competent job performance. Systematic approach of the training consistent with the following phrases. The analyst phrase identified the training the requirements specified of the job position with the use of the needed analysis, job analysis, task analysis. Designing phase. Use the information collected during the analysis phase to select training settings established with the training program, development programs, specific learning objectives, testing specifications, guide with the development and all training materials and strategies. Developing phase. Use the result of designing phase to select appropriate instructional methods. Developing the training materials. Implementation phase. Consistent activities related with the resource allocation, planning, scheduling, conducting documentation of the training. Evaluation phase. Focuses on effectiveness of each of the other phases. Task is a well-defined unit working with the identifiable beginning and which is measurable with the component duties and responsibilities of a specific job. Task analysis, systematic process examining tasks to identify knowledge, skills, and abilities required to successful testing. Task performance, training and instruction designed to develop and improve the job performance. Training program is planned, organized sequence activities designed to prepare individuals to perform jobs to meet their specific position or classification needed and maintain improve their performance of job. On the job training setting is environmental. Training setting is environmental in which the training is conducted. Example: the training settings include classroom, laboratory, workshop, on the job, simulator, self-paced instruction. Training supervisor is an individual responsible for the day-to-day training activities, including schedule, assigning, and evaluating instructors. Intentionally left blank. 3. Instructor qualification requirements. Qualification requirements should be established and documented for all the facility subcontract personnel, including the occasional casual instructor who performs the training activities. An occasional or casual trainer is an individual who is instructed several times a year. Training is not a part of his or her job description. The requirement should be based on instructional qualification and should be addressed with instructional competency, technical competency, applicable internal personnel skills. All these subcontractual instructors, both short-term and long-term, and should meet the qualification requirements of the subject of the teach and develop. Instructional trainees who are not qualified, as well as the occasional instructor, shall have limited participation in instructional activities. The individual shall perform an assignment with under the direct supervision qualified instructor training supervisor. All instructor trainees who are assigned the instructional activities should be formally evaluated with a qualified instructor or trainer or supervisor. On a case-to-case basis determined by the testing experience, that all instructor training might be granted an exemption of the specific training program requirements. If an instructor training demonstrates the master of some of all the course learning objectives prior to the training exemption is warranted, administrative procedure shall be developed that all allowing the training management to option with relating such individual for the portions qualification program requirements. All exemption granted should be included with the writing specific justification records and normally documenting exemptions. Training provided with the qualification achieved with each of the member of the training staff should be maintained in accordance with Section 8 of this guide. With 3, the instructional competency job analysis for the Department of Energy facility instructor or instructional technologist is not required. However, the recommended that each of the facility analysis is its work activities ensure that the training related tasks associated knowledge skills are identified and documented with each of the instructor qualification levels. Appendix B contains the generic instructional job analysis survey from they may be used to modify from the analysis. Analysis result should be compared with the facility instruction and training programs to verify the required knowledge. All operative cognitive level and skills are provided with the content of each of the program. Further, the analyst should be used to establish The intro-level requirements, education, training, work experience for each of the instructional qualification level. The knowledge and skills developed in the facility instructor training program should also be compared with the representative instructional competency identified in Appendix C, D, and E, and F of this guide. The comparison of this should be helpful to verify the adequacy, identification, deficiencies, facility analysis should be identifying the generic competency which may not be needed of the facility-specific training programs. The competency listed in Appendix C, D, and E, and F were identified on the tabletop of the analysis. The TAP object of the criteria of the Department of Energy instructor training course generic instructional list from the commercial nuclear power industry. As a result, the analysis of the competency is written at the task level, some of the task element level. By providing competency written for the task element knowledge skill level they need to perform the additional analysis is minimize competency identified applicable to specific instructor training program should be rewritten in form of the terminal enabling learning objectives. In all cases, the program should be in place to develop the specific knowledge skills required with each of the instruction qualification level. Recommended that the facility does not conduct own analysis training related to activities, as the content of the instructor training program should be initially based on the guide and subsequent redefined systematic evaluation processes. 3.2 technical competencies. Training staff should perform the instructor development and presentation evaluation. The technical topics should be posed. The technical qualification consistent with their assignment. The technical qualification should include theoretical particular knowledge as well as practical work experience or above level that is required for the training population. Instructors who initially lack practical work experience should complete the portion of the operation technician craft training programs related with the topic taught. These instructions should thoroughly understand the subject matter and the relationship to the overall facility operation. Each facility should establish written procedures, stipulate with these technical qualifications will be and to whom they apply and how they may be attended with each of the instructor qualification. For example, the instructor Department of Energy Category A reactor facilities each subject to the technical safety requirements of operating practice, control, manipulation. Certified reactor operators, senior reactor operators should have received senior reactor operation or equivalent training. Instructors who teach the integrated facility training respond to the Department of Energy non-reactor nuclear facilities may also need the facility training or other equivalent training. Table 1 represents a specific training group with the listed fundamentals of facility-specific knowledge, experience, qualifications appropriate for the instructor of each of the group. The table suggests qualification requirements and instructor technical competency. The facility should use the information provided in Table 1 and their facility-specific instructor analysis data to determine the technical qualification requirements for instructional positions. Table 1 shows the operational technical reactor supervisor shift and technical staff. The subjects taught academic fundamentals, instructor qualifications, successful completion training, education subject can be taught or above the level achieved by the trainees or training or experience provided with the instructional knowledge of the duties responsible for the trainee. Generic nuclear process subject taught OT and qualification facility or successful completion of on-the-job training in similar simulator if applicable for the facility of the same type. Facility-specific technical information applied fundamentals on-the-job training qualification facility technical information as similar applicable with the training facility for instruction with facility-specific experience. Formal training should be completed with the emphasis operation withstanding the practice shift over turnover procedures using normal emergency facility procedure and normal facility evaluations. RNO and SRO facilities technical integrated plant information such as technical safety requirements, control, manipulation, operation practices, SRO qualification equivalent training. Table 1 continues suggested instructor technical qualification techniques in from a fundamental facility technician, demonstrate knowledge, skills, and subjects taught above the level to be achieved with the training's evidence, previous and training education through job performance, and mechanical maintenance, electrical, and maintenance, instrumental control, training experience provided for the instructor, knowledge of the duties responsible with the training's chemistry and radiological protection facility specific, demonstrating knowledge of the skills subject taught and above the level achieved with the trainings achieved, evidence of the previous training education through the job performance, and completion of all qualification requirements, senior level position, duty area of the instructional responsible for the training facility for the similar facility, and training experience provided for the instructor with the knowledge of the duties responsible for the training. Instructors, fundamental advanced instructional skills training demonstrated knowledge skills of the success subject, meaning the top above the level to be achieved with the trainees, evidence of previous training education throughout the job performance. 3.3 Interpersonal skills. The ability to provide effective training is significantly influenced by the interpersonal skills of the instructor. Interpersonal skills, sometimes referred to as soft skills, needed for the instructor may be to provide the observation interviews with the skilled instructors. The trained feedback on the instructor's style delivered usually high, so these subjects may also provide with the insight with desirable internal personnel. Any of these skills contained with the manual training course. It is important that the skills are identified and included with the instructor training programs. The instructor has a pivot role for the qualifying training. The instructor communication skills can be significantly impact the instructional effectiveness. The instructor should possess strong listening, speaking skills. Other skills should be include ability to listen, question, phase questions, and simulate thought, and deal effectively with conflict. The ability of influence training behavior is closely related with instructor motivational skills and personal skills. The demeanor of the instructor is important, but the quality of the instruction adds less in content materials. Since trainees tend to model their actions after the instructors, it is essential the instructors demonstrate leader qualities and convey the positive attitude toward training and promote the professional and the work environment. Use the interpersonal skills and mark of the effect as of an effective instructor. 4. Initial instructor training programs. Initial instructor training should be prepare individuals carrying out all duties associated with the respective instructor qualification. The content course designed for each of the instructor qualification should be based on a comparison of existing programs to either job analysis, preferred method, or applicable contents of the guide. The initial instructor training being described in the section is divided in 3 subsections: instructional basic, instructional qualification levels, and technical skills training. Instructional basic. All facilities personnel responsible for the technical training should be complete an instructional basic training course. Training with the instructional basic provided with the common background of all the facility instructors, regardless of the instructor qualification. Content of instruction basic training course may be determined group of the knowledge and skills identified during the analysis of various instructional activities that are necessary to support facility training program. See Appendix C with the suggested representative competencies. 4 through the instructor qualification levels. For the purpose of discussing different competency, the guide divides an initial instructor training into the following 3 qualification levels: on-the-job training instructor, classification instructor, trainer, or instructional technologist. The instructional trainer should develop the necessary instructional competency to deliver the training. In case of the instructional technology is designed to develop effective training efficiently to accomplish the objective is essentially for the training, which is based on the instructor qualification level, the appropriated degrees, and comprehensive level learning to be provided with all personnel who perform the training task, regardless of the job title. As review Appendix C, D, E, and F, or certain competencies may appear to be repeated, but the competencies required at a different level of comprehension based on the instructor qualification level. For instance, the competency learning objectives should be introduced to basic training. On-the-job training instructor should know that the learning objectives must be clear and concise, correctly sequenced to provide sufficient training. The classroom instruction should know that what was required for the on-the-job training instruction should be able to describe the factors of the effective proper sequencing objectives. The instructor technology should possess the competency other than 2 instructors on a specific topic that be able to develop a learning objective of the group in the training setting and the efficient sequencing of them. 421 on-the-job training instructor. The on-the-job training instructor is typically a senior craftsman or technician, subject matter expert, or foreman supervisor who conducts one-on-one training with the performance testing. Training course for the on-the-job training of the instructor should emphasize on how to rather than why, whatever, or sometimes why should also be included. On-the-job training is normally expected to deliver the training materials and about as a subject matter expert. He or she would directly involved in assisting in instructional technologies of developing, modifying these materials. On-the-job material. The job instructors shall have the basic working knowledge, concept, systematic approach to the teaching. See Appendix D for the suggested competency representative that needed the on-the-job training or instruction. Additional information regarding the on-the-job instructor is contained in the Department of Energy Standard 10.12.92 of the Good Practices on-job training. 422 classroom instructor training program. Classroom instructor training is typically identical to typically an individual who works part-time or full-time as an instructor. The title covers the broad range of the instructor, varying with line of organization and subject matter expert. Working part-time as a class instructor who is using instrumental material strategies developed by the others individuals who perform most of the duties. Instructional technology. The classroom instruction should have the working knowledge and concepts of the systematic approach to the testing. Training course for the classroom instructor should emphasize how to and why it's not necessary to have completed on-the-job training instruction training to qualify as a classroom instructor. See Appendix E for the suggested competency with a representative that needed by a classroom instructor. All right, 423, an instructional technologist training. Instructional technologists typically design, develop, and evaluate the training course and instructional materials based on a systematic approach to the training. They may also provide formal classroom instruction qualified as a training program. Instructional technologists should be designed to build competencies developed and based in instructional-based training, on-the-job training, and instructor training, classroom instructional training. See Appendix F with the suggested competency, which are representative of the need of the instructional technologist. 4.3. Technical skills training. Technical qualification should be based on pre-established written standards to describe the appropriate level of technical expertise and proficiency required for the specific area, subject area of the Table 1. Person or someone who is assigned with the instructional data duties of the technical training program that may be needed additional job-related knowledge or skills to complete the technical qualification. Successful completion of all selected portions of the initial operative technician craft training programs may be required to provide with the necessary knowledge, skills, methods varying with technical competency may include the varying review of documentation, support prior education experience, operational evaluation, or written examination chains upgrade technical qualifications. They enable the person to perform the training activities. In addition, shall be verified with a similar manner approved by the responsible manager. Intentionally left blank. And Chapter 5, Instructor Qualification. Qualification at all level instructors should be documented with a reasonable manager written the endorsement, satisfactory completion, initial instructor training, qualification requirements, guidance, and administrative procedures should develop and establish the criteria technical instructor qualification for all instructional personnel, including subcontractors, guidance, describe processing, higher instructor qualification levels, frequencies, renewal of qualification, professional record keeping should also be established. Change intentionally left blank. 6. Continuing instruction training. Continuing training with the material maintains improved instructional technical skills should be provided with the following initial instruction qualification. All instruction should be evaluated at least annually. The training and management training supervisor. The evaluation and necessary corrective measures should be documented as identified in Section 8. Continuing training is instructional skills, but should also focus on correcting weakness identified with the instructional evaluation development of the desired competency. Continuing training technical skills should be maintained and improved with the skills necessary to provide efficient instruction. Instruction skills, continuing training. Activities maintaining and improving instructional skills may be conducted with the group with the setting, lecture, discussion, role-playing methods, etc. may be accomplished through the self-paced instruction and one-on-one in sessions with the peer instructor. Continuation instructional skills training should be provided with all personnel with the training assignments. The continuing training requirements may be satisfied. Attending the instructional end session with the continuing training requirements may also be met in completing the applicable seminars course offered for the outside counsel and academic institution. Continuing training should be formally tracked and evaluated with the contribution staff instructional effectiveness. Result of the documentation is identified in Section 8. Subject appropriate instructional skills containing training may be included. The refresher topics initial instructional skill training, new and advanced instructional techniques and methods, changing in regulation standards and procedures, organizational changes, and they may affect the job responsibility, interrelationship, performance deficiencies identified during the instructor evaluations, and industry trends and generic problems identified to assist review visits. 6.2. Technical skills continuing training. Training that will maintain, develop, and technical skills and ensuring the knowledge of the responsibility should be provided with all personnel who acts as technical instructor. The training should include attending instruction applicable to the portions of operating technical craft, continuing training with the structure and facility time, observing particular approval activities and facility activities should be planned in advance. Established objectives shall consider current facility and opportunities. Instructors who provide the facility-specific training should be kept in the current with the facility, industrial events, and change the general knowledge at efficiency, performance, and weakness should be included as the continuing training topics. Instructor whose specific technical skills and deficiency will receive the trainings to correct the problems. Instructor of the Department of Energy Category A reactors who teach the subject of the technical safety requirements, operating practice, control manipulations, certified by the reactor operators, senior reactor operators, and should receive the continuing training necessary to maintain the technical skills at and equivalent to the senior reactor operator level. The trainer should include the portion of the senior reactor operator with continuing training completion, specific in facility activities, spending appropriate time acting as a member in an operating crew and on a simulator. Structured in facility time should be maintained with instructional familiarity with the facility configuration, watch, station requirements and practices, procedural administrative guidance. Instructors who teach integrated facility response of the Department of Energy non-reactor nuclear facilities should receive the continuing training necessary to maintain the technical skills equivalent in the senior operator level. The instructor certified the respect reactor operators, senior reactor operators who instruct the topics other than those listed. Instructors other than the facility operators, both reactor and non-reactor, should be maintained and developed in technical skills necessary to perform the job. These instructions should be kept abreast of the facility of administrative practices. Be familiar with the education experience level of the trainee population may accomplish this by attending the operation meetings, observation, incumbent work activities. Maintenance and chemistry, radiological protection inspection instructors should each attend technical continuing training. They should also maintain familiarity with the facility configuration, technical and craft practices, procedural administrative guidance, analytical maintenance equipment through the meeting of the attendance, appropriate formal and informal communication. Additional instructors may improve the technical skills through the attending industrial training and professional workshops and seminars. 363 professional development. Each facility shall establish the activities to promote the professional growth of the training staff. The activity should provide the means for the career to develop and ensure the personnel remain motivated with the current assignment. These should also provide the staff opportunity to increase the contribution to the facility. Industrial good practice that enhance the professional growth, including the management objective of the individual development plan approach to the link of the individual performance of training development and facility goals, and provide the benefits of both the organization and individual staff member. The professional growth opportunities to be identified with the source, such as facility human resource group surveys of the training staff. The professional development associated activities may include the following: cross assignments between training and technical areas, expanding leading instructor activities such as providing guidance to the group, work groups, and subcontractors, authority training procedures, other training documentation, assigning training departments, problem solving, decision making task force. Perception of the operation committees, training review committees, design review groups, and procedural review groups, participation in training association, training related workshop, company funded with enrollment in college, vocational education programs, active participation, professional organization related to technical areas, membership in professional training organization, American Society and Training Development, ASTD, and National Society of Performance Instruction, NSPI, etc. This page is instructionally left blank. 7. Evaluation and structured training programs. In order to establish, maintain effective training and structured training programs, a period continuing evaluation each program is necessary. Frequency of these course evaluations should be changed over the time following the initial program development. Evaluation of 3 to 6 month period may be required. Even the initial period of evaluation and course modification evaluation should be conducted with 1 to 2 year frequencies. Evaluation relieves the effective two-way communication between the instructional technology of the course of the instructor and the training supervisor. The instructional trainee. The evaluation should encourage the program updating the guide with the provided program improvement. The program evaluation should include the following terms: items: training examination result, instructional basic qualification level, specific instructional training, text-based for task-based feedback of the formal trainings to assess the program effectiveness, positive training surveys, training supervisor to adequacy and to assess adequacy and program content, instructor performance evaluation, training supervisor appropriate line management and efficiency, and other evaluations resolving in the corrective actions, review of the Department of Energy industrial guideline good practice documents, review of the competency list versus the content of the current instructor training programs, changes in program content, instructional materials, training method, examination techniques, training facilities, instructional staff shall be identified and assigned the training management representative for the action. Responsibility for the tracking corrective action should also be assigned. Pages intentionally left break. And 8. Program records. Audible record for each individual participation, performance, and exemption with granted from the training programs. Instructional technical as appropriate should be maintained. Individual training programs should include the following as appropriate: verified educational experience, employment history, and most recent health evaluation. Training programs completed with the qualification achieved. Latest completed skill checklist, grade written examination with answers corrected with the necessary examination keys. Operational evaluation used the qualification that requires controlled access. Training records, maintaining examination security. List of questions asked and examiner. Overall, the evaluation response for oral examination response relating to the exemption granted by the training requirements, including justification and approval of records of qualification from one time to the one time only special test and operation attendance records of the required training course of the session. A historical record of the documentation of each of the qualification, each position qualified should be maintained as part of the individual training record. For example, if the instructor is initially qualified in 1986, the record should contain the date and name of the qualification. If more than one qualification is achieved, maintained, but the individual training record should be contained the documentation to the effect. Completing examination checklist of operational evaluation presented with the held and technical qualifications shall be maintained in the record. Some facilities may prefer to maintain a separate completed examination with answer keys for each of the individual. With the individual holds qualification, multiple position record the support and current qualification for each of the positions shall be maintained. Duty of the task qualification shall be documented using a similar method for the facilities. The duty task qualification instead of the position qualification. Functional supervisor should have the access to qualification registers as necessary support assignment of the work qualified personnel. Upon reception, requalification records that support the provision of previous technical qualification may be removed or from the record and replaced with the information documentation the present qualification. Superfeed information should be handled in accordance with the procedure contained in Department of Energy 1324-5B record of the management program, and is an additional record of the training program, including audit training, trail documentation, development, and modification to each of the program, and evaluation effectiveness of those programs should also be maintained. All right, Appendix A, example trainer qualification model. And I believe that is initial page blank. And we'll hit up the appendix with the next load.